Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of Business Ambassadors. I'm Mike Corbett, and I have with me today a very familiar face, Sharon McMahon.
Maybe not so much anymore.
Well, maybe
It's
not.
been a while.
But you know, Sharon is the one that actually recruited me into this gig several years ago, and now she's on to other things, and I'm still here doing this gig. But she has come back to talk a little bit today about a contest, an essay contest,
Yes.
that this organization that you are the vice regent of, the Daughters of the American Revolution, and it's the chapter for Hamilton County, right?
It is.
Okay.
We're called the Horseshoe Prairie Chapter, and that's a whole other story that we don't have time for today.
Okay.
But we are all women who are descendants of patriots who fought in the American Revolution.
Wow.
And the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
And just very briefly, again, because time is important here, I know, and I want to get this information out, but if anyone's watching and they know that they are a descendant of a patriot from the American Revolutionary War, or they believe they are, they can get in touch with us, get in touch with me, and my information is on the screen there, I believe, and we will get them the information that they need to get the proof.
I see.
Membership does require proof.
So
And
certain genealogical things.
Exactly. Now, we do not do the genealogical investigation. Okay, that is up to the individual. But we can help them get started in the right direction. And I'll just say very briefly that the Hamilton East Public Library is the perfect place for people to start if they're not sure.
Yeah.
They can really get them on a path. I mean, I always was told in my family that I had an ancestor who fought in the Revolutionary War. But I, when I was younger, was not that interested, had other, raising a family and so forth. But when I was prepared to get my information, I did several things. There's several different ways to go about it. I will say, though, please don't believe something just because it's on the internet. Okay? That's really important. The internet can be a very useful tool when you're searching and getting information, but this
requires a little bit more authority as a
exactly.
Okay.
But,
how many members do you have in the local chapter?
We have 68 to 70 members.
Really?
Yes.
And they can all directly tie their descendants back to the American Revolution?
Yes. When you fill out your
great.
membership information, that goes all the way, that goes to Washington. Okay.
Wow.
And they have, in the headquarters there in Washington, they have an amazing library, amazing genealogical research facility there, and you have to prove it. And when you can prove it, you're issued a number. That's your lifetime number for membership. So it is a process. Yeah. It's a process, but it's one that's very rewarding.
I'll bet.
And, I think particularly in the times we're in, oh my goodness, could go on about that. But those of our ancestors who fought in the American Revolutionary War were amazing patriots, amazing veterans. Most of the members of the Continental Army were farmers. Yeah. And they were fighting the British, the most sophisticated military force in the entire world. A lot of them didn't even have shoes.
Wow.
It's quite a story.
I'm sure.
But we're here to talk about something very important.
Let's get to what we're here to talk about, this essay contest. Tell us a little bit about what you got going here.
Okay. Well, DAR, both nationally and locally and statewide, we have all kinds of different initiatives for people to be involved in. And, education is one of them. Now, each year we have essay contests with different topics. And the first one we'll talk about is for kids, students in grades 5 through 8. And these children can go to any private school or public school or homeschooled. Okay. Homeschooled, as long as you're in grades 5 through 8.
Got it.
And the topic for that grade level this year is about the National Park Service, celebrating a century, America's national parks. They just celebrated 100 years, which is pretty exciting in and of itself. Now, I can't go into all the details on this, but I'll read just a little bit of this. The National Park Service was established by Congress in 1916. It manages approximately 84.4 million acres of national parks. And we ask the child to pretend that you are writing a journal while visiting one of the 58 national parks. Identify its location, discuss why and when it was established as a national park, and what makes this park one of our national treasures. Now, the length of the essay should be between 300 to 1,000 words, and less for, maybe the 5th grade, maybe a little bit more for the 8th grade.
Sure.
And what I will do, if someone wants to email me and ask me some questions, I will actually send them the forms, which has all of the information in it. Okay?
Good. Yeah.
Now, the other one, for grades 9 through 12, and again, public, private, homeschooled. This is called the Christopher Columbus Essay Contest, and it's called Technology's Impact on the Voyage of Christopher Columbus. Now, the length of these for the older kids is between 800 and 1,200 words. Okay. But the description is, technological advances have greatly changed our world since the voyages of Christopher Columbus. If Christopher Columbus had just some of the technology we have today in 2016, how might this have changed his planning and carrying out of his voyages? What technological advantages would have been most beneficial to Christopher Columbus?
Wow.
So the kids really need to use their imagination and their scientific and technology information on this.
And their creativity.
And their prowess,
yeah.
yes, which is much more than mine, I can tell you that much. So,
that's great.
Yeah.
What's the timeline on this? How long do they have to write them?
We need to have these back to us no later than December 1st. Now, I will say we have fall break coming up for many of the kids, and obviously for the Thanksgiving holidays. So time is of the essence. And the way this works, Mike, is that when the kids submit the essays, these are judged, first of all, on a county-wide basis by a panel of 3 judges.
From the local chapter?
No, actually, the judges are not from the chapter.
Really?
Yes, the judges are always secret, but some of these will be some well-known names from around the county. Okay. So, but those will be judged, and that we feel that's important because there may be, we may have, for instance, I think my grandson is going to submit an essay. He's in the 8th grade, so. We just want to keep this completely impartial.
Bit of an arm's length there, so that absolutely it makes sense.
The winner of the Hamilton County chapter contest on both levels, that will go to the state level. Those essays will be judged at the state level. There will be one winner at the state level. That winner's essay will go on to Washington, D.C. and will be judged accordingly with the other states that are submitted. Now, I will say this as well. Any student, even beginning at the local level, who submits an essay will receive a certificate from the Daughters of the American Revolution for doing so. And I think that's real important because if you put forth an effort, you will receive acknowledgement for that effort. And I think that's important for kids and their parents to know.
That's great.
Absolutely. And yes, and then the student who wins at the chapter level or the Hamilton County chapter will receive a very nice bronze medal.
And then
for their efforts.
At the state level, they get to go to Washington for a ceremony, right? Is that what you're saying?
Right. If they win at the state level, that essay is submitted to Washington, D.C., to the headquarters there, and will be judged on the national level. The winner of that national, at that national level, one winner will receive their medal and their acknowledgement in a ceremony there in Washington.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a really nice contest. That's terrific. I think we ought to be able to get some good creative essays coming out of the Hamilton County.
And I would suggest, too, students, if you're interested, you might check with your teachers to see, by doing this, you may or may not, that's up to your teachers, receive some extra credit.
Right.
Who doesn't need extra credit. Well, maybe some don't
Absolutely.
need, but who doesn't want extra credit, right? And I
Always
know
nice
we're
to have extra credit.
just about out of time.
So the place where they submit these to is on the screen, is that right? Did you get
Well,
your
they need
email
to
address on there?
contact me,
Oh, they
and
should
then
contact
I
you.
need to send them all the information. They
I
need
got
to
it.
have their forms.
All right, so
before
don't
they
just
can
write the
submit it.
essay and turn it in. Get
Right.
the information first.
Get the information.
Look at what the parameters are.
That's right.
Write the essay and then
That's
put it
right.
back. Well, Sharon, thank you very much for being here today. Before we go, I just wanted to
been a
mention one
pleasure.
other thing. You know, we've got a new, I do the Hamilton County Business Magazine.
do.
We got the new version that is out. It's coming out this
Oh,
week.
that's
It's all about the
awesome.
women on the courthouse square. There is an amazing number of businesses around Noblesville's courthouse square that are owned by women. And so we did a little story on it.
Not
So-
surprising at all.
not really, but worth noting. And so we did note it and wrote a story on it. You can pick up a copy of this at the local chamber or at the visitor center, or we even have a kiosk or a little box out there out in
Great.
front of the Key Bank on Logan Street. So anyway, wanted to mention that. Thanks again for coming. Good
Yeah.
luck with this. I hope you get some good
do
essays. I'm
too.
sure you will.
Thanks for the time. I hope to come back and talk about some other things soon.
You know you're always welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We'll be back in a little bit.